Have you ever had the feeling that the more deeply you think, the more distant you become from others? Like the more clearly you see the world, the less people want to hear what you have to say? You're not imagining things. Throughout history, society has always been uneasy around deep thinkers. Not because they're wrong, but because they see things most people would rather not confront. From Socrates to Galileo, from Nietzsche to Tesla, history is full of brilliant minds who were misunderstood, silenced, or even punished. Not because they lacked intelligence, but because they challenged the comfortable illusions society lives by. Philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said that intelligence is less of a gift and more of a curse, one that isolates those who think too deeply. But why does this happen? Let's take a step back and look at how people respond to different types of superiority. If you meet someone who's physically strong, you might admire them. You don't feel threatened, maybe even inspired. If someone is wealthy, you might feel a bit of envy, but rarely do you take it personally. But when someone is intellectually sharper than those around them, it's a different story. Even if they say nothing arrogant or judgmental, their presence alone can make others feel uncomfortable. This isn't about ego in the traditional sense. It's something deeper. Psychologists call it the mirror effect. Deep thinkers reflect the limits of other people's understanding. Not because they intend to, but because that's what depth does. It makes others confront truths they have avoided or never considered. And let's be honest, most people aren't looking for that kind of reflection in casual conversation. Here's the thing. Intelligence is tied directly to how we see ourselves. We define who we are by what we believe, how we interpret the world, what we think is true. So when someone comes along who questions that, who pushes beyond the surface, it can feel like a personal attack, even when it's not. That's why highly intelligent or thoughtful people often find themselves met with silence, defensiveness, or even hostility when they share ideas that go beyond the norm. And sadly, it's not just a social issue, it's biological. Studies in neuroscience show that when someone feels intellectually inferior, the amygdala, the fear center of the brain, lights up. The body responds the same way it would to a threat. Deep thinking to the subconscious mind can feel like danger. Because for most of human history, survival didn't depend on being right. It depended on belonging. Fitting in with the group meant safety. Being different, being a threat to the tribe's harmony, meant rejection and sometimes death. Our brains are still wired that way. It's why people will often push away what they don't understand rather than try to engage with it. This is why many deep thinkers struggle in group settings. A fascinating study from Stanford in 2021 found that people are much more accepting of intellectual conversations in one-on-one situations. But in groups, they're far more likely to feel threatened or uncomfortable. Why? Because social comparison becomes more intense. If one person appears to outthink the group, others instinctively try to protect their social standing by dismissing or excluding that person. It gets even worse when you factor in cognitive biases. The Dunning-Kruger effect. People with low ability often think they know more than they do, while truly knowledgeable people tend to doubt themselves. Status quo bias. The brain prefers familiar ideas, even if they're wrong, because they feel safe. The backfire effect. When presented with facts that challenge their beliefs, many people double down on their old views rather than update them. And then there's social media. Platforms today are designed to promote content that gets engagement, not necessarily truth or depth. That means catchy, emotional, or controversial content rises to the top, while nuanced, thoughtful discussion often gets ignored. Deep thinkers struggle in this environment because it's hard to compress complex ideas into 10-second sound bites. This rejection of intellectual depth isn't new, though. It starts early. Schools often reward students for memorizing and obeying, not for questioning or thinking independently. Workplaces value people who fit in over those who challenge the system or propose bold ideas. Politics favors leaders who say what people want to hear, not those who speak hard truths with logic and reason. And so many of the greatest thinkers were never appreciated in their own time. Galileo was forced to deny his discoveries under threat of torture. Socrates was executed for encouraging people to think for themselves. Nietzsche was dismissed as insane, his work only appreciated long after his death. Tesla died broke and alone, even though his ideas shaped the modern world. Alan Turing, a war hero and father of computer science, was chemically castrated for being gay. Hypatia, a female philosopher in ancient Rome, was murdered by a mob for teaching reason and science. Each of these individuals saw the world with rare clarity, and each was punished for it. So what can deep thinkers do? Are they doomed to be lonely forever? Not at all, but it does take wisdom to navigate the world with depth. Here are 3 principles that help. First, embrace solitude. Don't see being alone as punishment. Use your time to think, create, and grow. Solitude is where many great insights are born. Second, find your people. You don't need a crowd, you need a connection. Look for others who value thoughtfulness. They might be few, but they're out there in books, forums, quiet circles, or creative spaces. Third, speak wisely. Not everyone is ready for deep ideas. That's okay. As Einstein once said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Learn to share ideas in ways that others can digest, without diluting the truth. If you think deeply, you see things others may not. That might make you feel misunderstood or even rejected, but it also means you're contributing to a long tradition of thinkers who have shaped the world. So if you've ever felt like an outsider for how you think, just know, you are not broken. You're just ahead of your time. And while society might fear deep thinkers today, it's often those very thinkers who move humanity forward.